in what he was presenting and very clear in his thoughts about what he wants to do for this republic. Mr. Speaker, I must start by saying that where the president started was very important about democracy in this country. William Ruto, to many, was not supposed to be the president of the Republic of Kenya at this point in time. A lot of energy and effort was spent by the outgoing government, Mr. Speaker, which was a conglomerate of a former opposition with the existing government then. And in the words of Senator Oburu Odinga, Mr. Speaker, the deep state was also on that side, Mr. Speaker, and the system. And having, Mr. Speaker, put together their forces, did everything that was humanly possible to make sure that William Ruto would not ascend to office. But because we have strong institutions, Mr. Speaker, strong government institutions, and very strong, Mr. Speaker, citizens at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, we were able, Mr. Speaker, as a nation, to cross that bridge and deliver, Mr. Speaker, the wish of the people of Kenya in the election of William Ruto to be the president. Granted, the president recognized that this election was very close, demonstrating that, Mr. Speaker, the things that unite us are more than those that divide us. And, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that even when the president said that there must be a mechanism for cabinet secretaries to come to this house and the law house to make a presentation on and to be questioned on the work they're doing, Mr. Speaker, I submit to you and to this house that that mechanism already exists in the standing orders. Like Senator Kajwang submitted yesterday, that can easily be done as soon as we law this mess, Mr. Speaker, and have a committee of the whole. It is possible for a cabinet secretary to come to this chamber and make a presentation on any issue and be questioned on any issue. In any case, we've done that before. When we were dealing with medical equipment in this house, we summoned the cabinet secretary, and we were almost a full house, even though we did it through a committee of the whole house that I chaired, Mr. Speaker, at that point in time. And therefore, this can be made to become a practice that can facilitate accountability. It may not be necessary to do it every week, but that is something that can be done once in 3 months. Many of the senators who are here will realize that in most of the cabinet secretaries the last 10 years were not responsive to the summons from this house. We have had to have fights. We have even sometimes have to go to the extent of, Mr. Speaker, issuing official summons to this cabinet secretaries. In fact, to the extent of even some of them were fined because they were not responsive to the call to the request by this house to come and become accountable to the people of Kenya through their elected representatives. So it's important that we have a president in office. And I wonder, when I see my colleagues on the minority side criticizing that very important point, I think it's because they are used to the National Assembly, where they had this luxury of having cabinet secretary come running because they knew the mandate of National Assembly included budgets in their departments and their ministries. But this house has been ignored for long. So it's important to have a president in office who appreciates the role of this Senate and Parliament and who wants to give support to a legislature to function. Number two, the president talked about support of the judiciary. It's instructive to note that this president has a majority both in National Assembly and the Senate. And therefore, when Parliament, when he's having budgetary proposals from his cabinet secretary, it includes the budgetary allocation that are related, Mr. Speaker, to the judiciary. So we cannot close our eyes. We all know that we have separation of powers, but there are limits to separation of powers, and separation of powers does not mean that there is enmity between the national executive and the judiciary and the legislature. We play a role. If that was the case, then the judiciary would not even send the registrar to come and defend the judicial budget in Parliament. Because then, if